Hi there, I'm Nivine from HCLSoftware. Welcome back to the Customer Success Connect series.
I am joined today by Tarun Gupta, our Head of Business Innovation and Value Engineering. Tarun, we're seeing a massive shift in how companies and customers interact. Thank you for joining me to break this down.
It is a pleasure, Naveen. It's great to be a part of this space.
Amazing. Let's jump right in. Tarun, why do you think customer success is suddenly becoming such a huge deal in the product world? It feels like a total pivot from where we were like 5 years ago.
Yeah. So if you generally see now, in your day-to-day life as well, the whole focus is now changing from feature functionality to basically getting an outcome, right? Customers buy a product to get the value for which they have certain expectations, right? Certain needs. If they feel that those needs or those outcomes are not met, then basically the delivery or the value is not is not there. So
So the software is just the engine sitting in the driveway? You mean software is not enough anymore?
yeah, so imagine if someone buys a car, right? Or if you sell a car to a someone who's got the greatest engine with some great speed, right? But if the person does not know how to drive that car, right? Then there's no value for that particular car for that person, right? And basically he's made the investment as well. So the first thing is understanding what really works for the customer, what are their actual needs, what outcome do they need, right? And you have to actually work like a coach. So maybe that person does not know how to drive that car, but you have got adequate resources, right? If you've got someone working like a coach with that person who advises him, right, how he can uplift his capabilities, or how does he uses that car progressively, right? He starts to learn, right, and starts to use it much more better, right? Starts to drive on certain path, certain roadways, and but someone is always there, right? So that the risk factor is not there, and someone is guiding that, how should he progressively take the journey.
Yes, then concept of coaching changes the whole relationship then. It implies that the product alone isn't enough anymore. Is the goal so now to sell a tangible result rather than just a software license?
Absolutely. So if you see, no one wakes up thinking of buying a software, right? People wake up with their day-to-day, work activities, but the first thing they always think of is, okay, what am I going to do today, right? What outcomes or what challenges I have to sort out at my business place, at my workplace, right? And if you look into maybe IT world, if I take simple example, typically someone who's heading an IT, right? He would have certain outcomes expected. For example, he would want his environment to be completely safe, right? If he's working on some digital transformation platform, he would want that more and more of his end customers use that platform. They have better experience. They would want to use that platform more and more, right? And he's able to give them better experiences progressively over a period of time, right? And meeting their expectations. So yes, absolutely. It is not about feature functionality. It is about the outcomes. And I think that is where you would see we are also making a pivotal shift in which, how we are kind of engaging with the customers now.
I completely agree, Taryn. But
Yeah.
there's often a gap between buying the engine and actually driving it. So, as head of value engineering, how are you bridging that gap?
Right. So there are few things which we have started to do very differently now. One is understanding the customer landscape today, right? Understanding that, in terms of industry, right? Where do they stand in terms of how they're using the product, right? Then understanding the business pain points or the challenges. And also then looking at, within the same industry, right? Or segment, what are what the other customers are doing with that product, right? Or that solution. Based upon that, we kind of document all of it, and then we create something called value plays. Now, in simple terms, value plays is basically something which is mapped to an outcome which customer is expecting, or an outcome which customer can get, which he had never thought through. If I give you a Lego block today, you would be able to build Lego based upon the creativity you have. But if I give you some steps, right, that okay, others are doing these five things differently to build this Lego, and you can build an Eiffel Tower maybe, using that Lego. It is about exploring the creativity by leveraging others knowledge and skills as well, right? So in value plays, this is something we are doing now. We understand the pain points, then there's an innovation, we also bring in the ideas, we bring in, map it to the outcomes, and then we create something called success plan, which would have a lot of milestones, right? And each of those milestones would have certain outcomes which will take you to the overall goal or the outcome you're expecting. And overall, in terms of HCL software, there are various teams, which could be a combination of customer success executive, it could be technical people, right? It could be support people. A lot of those teams then tag along to deliver that success plan, right? And they kind of engage with the customers at various frequencies or to meet their milestones.
Tarun, this roadmap that you just mentioned is the key. So, Tarun, before we wrap up, I want to
Yeah.
touch on a hot topic, the difficult
Mhm.
customer, if we may call it like that. Usually people try to avoid them, but you have a very different perspective from my understanding. Do you want to share it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, been in the industry for almost like 25 years. And I still recall that as part of my initial first or second job, one of the question in the final selection was that, Tarun, what keeps you motivated or happy? And my response to that answer was a happy customer, right? But not every customer starts as a happy customer, right? It could be someone who's frustrated, right? So the way I would want to kind of map it is that customers are not difficult, right? It is the situation, it is the way they are being given the service or the way they are using the product, right? It is, in simple terms, their expectations are not met, right? And when expectations are not met, they would express it in various ways, right? So the key part is our job is to listen, then document, understand, like respond to them in an appropriate manner to ensure that their needs are met, right? So difficult customer in my terms is more of that particular situation. And it is always good to have such customer who are willing to open up, express their opinion, express the kind of challenges they're facing while using a product, because it is an opportunity for us to understand, to correct and respond things appropriately. In fact, the difficult situation I would say would be the customer who has gone through some tough times or challenges with our product or our services, and they do not come back or they do not even respond or open up, that what happened wrong. So it is a lost opportunity for us to kind of correct things, right? And that's why you would see now that we're very active on things like net promoter score. So very actively engaging with our customers now on understanding, where do they rate overall in terms of their experience with HCL software and the product.
So, in easy words, the more they talk, the better we can help them achieve their goals. It's a win win, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Tarun, that's a powerful perspective to end on. Tarun, thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you to everyone watching. And we want really this to be a two-way street. So stay tuned for our next conversation and let's keep driving towards those outcomes. And please, to everyone who's watching, let us know what do you want to be the next topic that we will cover. Tarun, thank you again.
Sure. Thanks for having me here, Nivine.
Thank you, and see you in the next Customer Success Connect episode.